Located at 2,200 meters above sea level and at the edge of winter snows, still remains a part of the first shelter and basis of the first ski runs, the San Francisco Shelter. The most primitive building catered to leisure and sports in the Sierra Nevada mountain range, home to the highest peaks of the Iberian Peninsula. An emblematic but also unknown building built by a few visionaries over 100 years ago when there was not even a road to access. Of the original building, unique in its formal and constructive ingenuity, currently only a section still remains, majestic and isolated. Nowadays, the San Francisco Shelter is not only one of the most significant buildings of the architectural heritage of Sierra Nevada, but also a witness of the historical memory of these mountains. After all, this building is a legacy that represents a relationship between mountain and man, an example of cultural maker that links the territory with its people, committed to keeping their values from the respect of the history. Approaching a building like this, with great historical and cultural values, involves all capacities and means to deal with its transformations in space and time. First, the research deepens on the origin of the building to recognize then their transformations. We have tried to uncover the codes, sometimes hidden but always implicit in the building itself, as a way to know and understand the work that the authors and promoters devised in the past. Finally, this knowledge has enabled us to appreciate both its origin and historical development as inseparable parts of the architectural and cultural values. To understand the current reality of the San Francisco Shelter, we must start from 1912, when some figures of Granada constitutes the Sierra Nevada Society. With its own resources, the society built this unusual and original building in a place of difficult access between April 1913 and December 1915. The shelter was the basis for the first ski lifts, an important step for the development of the infrastructures in Sierra Nevada during the first quarter of the 20th century. But in March 1938, during the Spanish Civil War, a bomb trap was activated and a large part of the building was destroyed. The winter weather and the abandonment during 40 years ended up causing the state of ruin of the San Francisco Shelter. After several attempts to recover the building in its original state, only the portion today existing has been kept. Due to a previous lack of baseline data, the information provided from this research is an original contribution. The location of any document about the original project of the San Francisco Shelter or any other previous or subsequent related paper has been an impossible attempt. From the beginning of the research, we have only found some old photographs and an elementary sketch published in the press in July 1913. However, this research allows us to recover from the ungrateful oblivion a building of great formal and technological singularity, which, while certainly not monumental, has great symbolism, is of both historical and cultural value, and therefore an important piece of our heritage. Through painstaking research, we were able to achieve great knowledge of the hypothetical virtual building that could have been built, if completed, the initial idea of its promoters, which was embodied, if ever, in a lost project never entirely built. We have based the study on the principle, know to understand, understand to evaluate, and evaluate to act, and on the use of graphical documents as support for our research and understanding, as well as a vehicle for the preservation and dissemination of heritage. So we have interpreted the recreation of the hypothetical original project as a tribute to the way to draw of that time, 100 years ago, when the reproduction ways of technical documents were very different from today, by linking past and present of the drawing as a means of architectural expression and communication. In addition, we have managed to understand the clever design idea of the building based on 4 geometric forms interaction: cube, cylinder, sphere and pyramid, to get a robust and singular solution. Thereby, quadrangular and cylindrical walls interact between themselves to achieve a base on which the dome stands. Since the initial idea was nearly none, this research is primarily supported by a thorough fieldwork and systematic methodology. So the building itself has been the main information source. Then, through an innovative data collection, we have achieved a large comprehension of the building's architecture. From fieldworks and the data collection outside and inside the shelter, we got the first control about its formal and functional characteristics. But we wanted to go further and to get a document as objective as possible, avoiding interpretations. Through the photogrammetric techniques, we obtained a fully precise and reliable model of the building and the ground where it is sited. This digital model became a solid basis over which investigate and understand the various historical stages of the building. Photogrammetry allowed us to reduce the time required for the fieldworks only by taking photographs by the drone and a few control measures to provide the 3D model a correct scale. On the other hand, due to the aerial orthophoto, the foundation shapes of the destroyed part of the old shelter came out, almost hidden to the naked eye. Thereby, the knowledge of the current building and the foundations of the original one allowed us to generate all the necessary documentation for an overall projective record of the evolution and different stages of the building, supported by the most current graphical techniques of architectural expression and communication. Obtaining orthophotos also provided us relevant information about the building heights, hitherto unknown, and made evident the pathological symptoms on the facades. The analysis of the direct sources, namely the information provided by the building itself in its current state, is an essential step before the historical research. Definitely, the virtual models made during the investigation became intangible heritage, which give us the possibility to know and to show in its original state a disappeared historical building through the drawing. Therefore, these drawings should be understood as a whole knowledge process. Infographics is then a scientist's research means, but especially it is a useful vehicle for all the information we have reached during our research, because the results become available for the general public. Finally, the research serves to support a simple proposal, but considered and coherent for a possible intervention in the future with the purpose of the restoration and rehabilitation of a new San Francisco shelter. It is made from the maximum respect for the heritage value of the subject matter, its present and past, but without giving up the future. It will be a starting point for a debate about the necessary recovery of a unique piece of our heritage which is currently at risk. With this research, we have tried to contribute inconspicuously to rescue from the oblivion a mountain heritage, which is part of our collective identity, and to help to recover as a historical interest building, the first shelter built in Sierra Nevada mountain range. Our duty is to preserve, protect, and transmit the legacy we have inherited. We must not let the oblivion to destroy it, and even less lend to it from their ignorance.